If you're a new dungeon master, it may not always be obvious to you exactly when you should have the players roll to see if they succeed. In combat, sure, attack rolls are easy, but outside of combat, things in D&D get weird, and everything is way more on you, the DM, to figure out when the players should roll. Well, there are two schools of thought. Hey everybody, Matt Colville here. There are two schools of thought. First, and I suspect this is most common, it's certainly the most historical, meaning this is the way it was for a long time. The first school of thought is you roll whenever the outcome is uncertain. The player wants to try something, it's not obvious they'd succeed, make a roll. Even I do this. Then we got some language somewhere around 3rd edition where the advice was everything has a numerical difficulty. 5 is very easy, 20 is hard. Okay, that's pretty straightforward, but I think that leads people to draw the wrong conclusion. It means DMs naturally start by thinking about, well, how hard is this? It seems easy, so DC 10, go ahead and roll. I think that is the wrong way to think about this. It means a lot of DMs, especially new DMs, think that everything has a DC. Right? I got a list here that goes from easy to hard and actually goes all the way up to nearly impossible. Do DMs set DCs between like 10 and 15 when doing skill checks? DC 12, DC 14? I feel like we should be using DCs of all different numbers, but I suspect some DMs don't. Do not be afraid to use different numbers. Don't be afraid to grade on a curve either. If your PCs have weirdly higher or lower bonuses than the rules expect, you can sort of normalize things by adjusting what medium difficulty is. Anyway, having this list of DCs labeled like this, you naturally think that it means, first, you establish that it's not obvious whether you'll succeed, so that means you need to roll. Second, you think about how hard the task is. Third, look up the difficulty on this chart. That is a very straightforward process, and because it's straightforward, I think many people use this chart when they don't need to. I'm sure there is advice somewhere in there about not always needing to roll. Good, that's good. But I think a different approach might yield better results. And that brings us to the second school of thought, and that is you should only ask for a roll if you can think of ways the roll might dramatically advance the story, succeed or fail. For instance, something super simple and pretty common, the door. Players know there's monsters on the other side. They want a dramatic entrance. So they say, we want to kick down the door. Tear down the wall. Awesome. Now imagine we have 3 DMs. One, in that moment, can't think of how to make that dramatically advance the story. I can describe it dramatically, but apart from that, it's just a cool way to start the fight. Okay then, don't ask for a roll. Just describe the heroes kicking the door down dramatically, or ask them to describe how they do it and roll initiative. That's fine. It is fine not to ask for a roll. Sure, maybe it wasn't obvious they'd succeed, but you couldn't think of any way to make success and failure dramatic, so who cares if it's not obvious they'd succeed? Just let them do it. If you can't think of dramatic results, don't bother rolling. Another DM, same scenario, they think, well, if they succeed, then they could surprise the monsters. Okay, that's cool. But our second DM can't think of an exciting way to describe failure here. So if they fail, well, they just fail and the bad guys know they're there. So go ahead and roll. Okay, that's better. You came up with a dramatic result for success. The monsters are surprised. You didn't just succeed at kicking down the door. Kicking down the door surprised the monsters. But probably that's why the players were trying to kick the door down in the first place, because they thought they'd get surprise. Well, I would say to that second DM, if you can't think of ways to surprise the players with the results of success and failure, just let them succeed. No roll necessary. Knock down the door, surprise the bad guys. They're about to fight a room full of monsters. They already got their work cut out for them. You don't need to earn every advantage through die rolls. Just having a good idea can be enough to earn a minor advantage like surprise. I'm going to say that again because I think it's important. Not every advantage needs to be earned through a die roll. Just having good ideas can be enough to earn a mechanical benefit. So that leads us to the third DM who thinks, well, I could just give them surprise, but what if there was a roll? The door is heavy. Are you strong enough to kick it down? Roll. Success means, yeah, you get surprise, but you kick the door open and it slams into the face of the monster on the other side. Roll damage. Doesn't have to be a lot of damage. It's just fun. It's more than fun. It's awesome. And if they fail, Well, then the monsters overheard the hero's planning and opened the door before the kick can land. Rah! Now the monsters have surprise. Okay, now you have a good reason to roll. You came up with a fun and dramatic way for success or failure to dramatically advance the story. What about failure means you kick a hole in the door. The door opens, but your foot gets stuck, and now you're grappled by the door. You got to spend around just getting your foot unstuck while the monsters are pounding on you. Thinking about fun ways for the PCs to succeed or fail is fun. It's one of the things that makes the game fun. And the nice thing is, you don't need to rack your brain over this. If you're not inspired, if nothing cool pops into your head, well, just let them succeed. Not every advantage has to be rolled for. It may seem like we've talked about this before, but I don't think we have. We did a video people really liked about multiple fail states, which you can watch by clicking here. Actually, I don't know why we do this. Does YouTube imagine people are clicking on or should click on videos in the middle of watching a video they are actively interested in? If you click up here, can you just add the video to your watch queue? That would make more sense. If you can't, I'm not sure what the point of this feature is. Anyway, multiple fail states is more about controlling the flow of time, which we also did a pretty popular video on. It's about inserting new moments, slicing time more finely, so that failing one roll just ratchets up the tension and doesn't completely derail the adventure. You don't make progress, the plot does not move forward, but the tension increases. In fact, you could sort of plot all of this advice on a graph, or like a truth table. Will the result dramatically advance the story? Yes, no. Will the tension increase even though the plot's not advancing? Yes, no. So long as one of those two things is true, you're good. That is a fun game. If the answer is no, and you're just rolling because the outcome isn't certain, I think that's a waste of time. That's it, folks. Short video, super short, but somehow not a short. Weird. I don't think you need to roll unless both success and failure will be dramatic, will advance the plot or ratchet up the tension, and inventing those outcomes, surprising your players, is fun. This is one of those videos where longtime DMs feel let down because they already know all of this, but I can't help that. The more experienced a DM you are, the more specific the advice you need, because the challenges you're facing in your game with your players at your table might be unique. Whereas I try to focus on advice that is more universal. So I sympathize, but I don't really have the power to audit your game. Thanks for watching, folks. You're probably going to get another Flea Mortals packet later this month, and if you don't know what that is, wow. Hello, welcome to the channel. Would you like a dope monster book for 5th edition? Click the link below. Meanwhile, those of you who are already paying attention to Flea Mortals, you might want to stop by our store and pick up a dope mini. This is Tsar Anathema. The write-up for this dude is awesome, and you get the write-up and his stats if you order the mini. This is supposed to be an undead dwarf lord, dwarf king, and his story is super awesome. Or you might want to pick up, I think this is Rajat, the hate devil. Yeah, look at this dude. Look at his horns. He's got, you should see, the art for this guy is amazing. Probably pretty easy to paint, not a lot of little fiddly bits. And honestly, if you've never painted, primed, assembled minis before, it is a lot of fun. It is just painting, assembling minis is a hobby unto itself. And people, I think people would be surprised at how much fun it is to glue and assemble these things together. And also how, you know what, you just prime one of these things with good primer and all the detail pops out and it looks really good on your table, just primed. You don't have to be a pro painter. But painting is also fun as long as you don't mind sucking at it for quite a long time. But you don't, because if you did, you wouldn't be here in this channel where we talk about D&D, where the only way to get better is to suck at it for a while. Thanks for watching, everybody. We will see each other soon. Probably more videos next week. Actually, I think we're going to get a video about how to make a mount in D&D relatively soon. But I don't think I'm in that video. Until next time, folks, thanks for watching. Peace out.